Hi everyone. I am going to do a quick little video here to show you how to use Spelling City. I had some questions about it, and I know that this platform in particular, or this website, is new to students. It is new to me as well, and I know that it's new to parents, of course. So I have spent some time this week really getting familiar with it and just trying to understand more from the student perspective what it looks like. So I thought I'd make a quick video that would hopefully help you as parents and the students kind of understand all the different activities that Spelling City offers. And I also wanted to explain how we as a class are going to use it. So this is the home screen. I logged in as a test student, and this is what it looks like. So essentially, your child will log in, and if anyone needs a copy of their login, I am happy to give it to you. And they will see something right here that says assigned playlist. So that essentially is just the activities for the week. The playlist is just what Spelling City calls it. It's just what will we be doing this week. And I will assign around 6 activities probably every week, and I'm asking the students to do 2 a day. So I know that the students could do them, they could do more than two. And I'm asking that they do only 2 a day. If they maybe forgot one day or they practiced on paper or what have you, then that is fine. They'll just have to catch up because the way that this works, a big question that I had this week was why are these grayed out? So the reason for that is because these activities need to go in sequence. So I ordered these. So we have like a practice test. We do some sentences, which helps with vocabulary and understanding the structure of the word. And then we move into syllables and then sorting out vowels, etc. So I built the playlist in a certain way, and I want the students to do those activities in that order. In terms of which ones they should be doing every day, always go here to the grid. I will always label which 2 activities that they need to do. And again, if your child is behind or if they just didn't get to it one day, that's fine, but they will need to catch up from the 2 prior activities before moving on. So let's say I didn't do the sentences and it's Tuesday and my grid says do the syllable assignment. Well, I can't just jump to the syllable assignment because I didn't complete the sentences assignment. So I'm pretty flexible on that sort of thing. Like students will be marked down if they do them in that way, but they do need to do them in order. So I would really recommend following what exactly my grid says in terms of which 2 activities to do, just to prevent the student from falling behind. If there is an assignment that is really particularly challenging, I know that the sentences, writing, I should say typing sentences has been difficult for a lot of students because they're typing and that takes a lot of time. So I actually took that out for moving forward. But if an activity like that comes up and your child and you are finding it would be more successful to do that on paper, I am totally okay with that. I completely understand. I just ask that you let me know or send a photo, and that way I can, know that the child did it and understands that particular concept. And then I can go ahead and mark them as complete in Spelling City, which will allow them to jump to the next activity. But just as a baseline, always go off of what's in the grid here. I will always say which two to do, and they should be in that order. So that is just a quick tour of the home page. The only other thing that could pop up on your student's home page is something that looks like this. So I took a quick screenshot. This is what it looks like when your student has completed all of the assigned activities to them for that week. So if they were to log on Friday, it would probably look like this unless they had some catch-up work to do. So they can go into Listen Games or they can go into My Records. But this means I, as a teacher, have not assigned any further work. They're all caught up. They've done what they need to do. So I'll go ahead and show you what Listen Games and Records looks like. Okay, so once we're back on the home page, I'm going to click up here on lists and games, and I'm going to find our curriculum, which is the Wonders 2014 on level spelling lists. So as you can see, there are two lists. That's because I'm leaving up all the lists from Unit 6. So quick backstory, Unit 6 is all about syllables, and we have 5 weeks of syllables. There's a bunch of different syllable spellings that we'll focus on. So I will leave all 5 of those up. And then once we move on to a next unit, then I will start over with, okay, Unit 7, Week 1. But until we're done with Unit 6, I will leave up all these lists. The reason being just so that students can continue to master them. These are multisyllabic words. They're a little probably trickier than what we've done in the past. And it's always good for their retention to kind of go back if they can. If they can't, if they don't have time, that is totally fine, but I'll leave them up as an option. But if the students are done with their mandatory assignments on the homepage and they'd like to play games, they just need to make sure that they're doing the week that we are in. So for example, this was last week, or I should say this past week with open and closed syllables. This is next week, so this would be the ones that they want to focus on. Let's say that they finish their 2 Monday assignments and we don't want them to move on. We just want to do the 2 assignments. They can go ahead and click here, and this is where they can find that list. The students can listen to them.
State. Replace.
Which is
9.
Very helpful, and I like that feature of it, so that's something to take advantage of. So that's what the view looks like. You can print this. The study option gives you just a few different ways to study the words. This test button is a practice test. This is not the test that we will take on Thursday. So if they take this, it's essentially just practice or a pretest. The test that I grade will always be here, and I will release it on Thursday. Okay, so if they go here to listen games and they click this test, that is not the test that I am asking them to do on Thursday. That's just a little practice. And that's optional. The mandatory test that they need to take on Thursdays will be here on the homepage, listed as an entire new playlist. Okay, so if I go back to listen games, these are the different options. And now if I click on games here, it's just going to give me games about these words, which is good because I wouldn't want it to do too many. But if I click here and I want to maybe review the past week, I can go to games here. But for now, let's focus on just this week. So I'm going to click on games for week 2. And then all these different options come up. So again, these are not mandatory. These are great for your students to play around with the words, to do some additional work, to do some additional studying. They're awesome tools, but they're not mandatory. So the mandatory assignments will always be on the home page. This is just if the students want to explore a little bit further. As you can see, it breaks it down by the focus. So the phonics focus, that's focusing on the rule, like short and long vowels, looking at syllables, what rhymes with it, building a lot of phonemic and phonological awareness is the focus of these games. Spelling looks a little bit different. That's actual letter to sound correspondences. So as you can see, like audio word match, this practice spelling tests, words like when we're unscrambling or doing a word search. So it's really just getting them to look at the word and sound association. This category of vocabulary, of course, is looking at definitions. I recommend that if students are going to do these games, I think they're great, but I would go in this order. So if students jump to writing, to paragraph writing, or to language arts, looking at alphabetizing, that's one that we do. I would recommend doing that on the latter end rather than the earlier end, because when we do things like the vocabulary, students are going to need to recognize the word before they can identify the definition. They're going to need to be familiar with the words, which is what phonics and spelling does, where vocabulary, language, arts, and writing are great to put into context and to further their understanding. So I actually think the way that this is set up is really productive for them. So just a note, if you were curious or if the students want to check this out, that would be my recommendation. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think that these are good activities. I would just be careful about which ones the kids do, like the order of them. They might get a little bit stuck if they were to do parts of speech before they've done spelling and vocabulary. They might not be set up for success in that way. So just something to be aware of as we go through this. But that is what the games look like. And as you can see, I can double check. My list is up here. We're just focusing on these words, which is good. And that's what that entire tab of listen games does. So the last tab that I will show you is the records tab. So on the records tab, you see two different things. We see the activity view and the playlist view. So the difference between an activity and a playlist, well, the playlist is 6 different activities. So remember on the home page, this playlist, I have my whole, what am I going to do this week, aside from the test? All the stuff I'm going to do this week. What has my teacher assigned me, basically? So then I go back to my records, and I go to the activity and playlist. So the playlist will show I've done 0 out of 6 activities, and it's in progress. When I finish 6 out of 6 activities, there'll be like a green check here to show like I have completed this, we're all good. And this is a great feature actually that is very similar to what I as a teacher see on my end. When I log in, it says the date that you completed it, the time that the child spent on the task. This is a really important one. You can see what's taking a long time, maybe what they're struggling with, or maybe they rushed through something. That's a really quick way to find that out. The score, and then it tells you exactly what words they're missed and what maybe what they're struggling with. So if it's 2 or 3 words consistently on every activity, we know that that is the category they need to focus more on, or the words they need to focus more on. If it's maybe one activity like syllables and they missed a bunch, that would tell me that, okay, we need to practice syllables more. And again, I as a teacher see all of this every day. I get a report that looks like this. But if you as a parent, or even if your student wants to see how they did and they want to see immediately, this is a great feature to have. So again, I just click on this bar, tells me, okay, this is the playlist I'm currently working on. This is my, kind of like my grades. These are my results. With the activity view, it's just more specific. So the activity view and the playlist view are pretty similar, but it just gives you this exact activity. Okay, I just did the practice spelling test. This is the time spent on the task, 50 seconds, great, 33%. And it shows you exactly which words that were missed. So that's just kind of like a quicker way to see it, whereas the playlist will show you the exact week that we are in and how we're doing. So I hope that this was helpful. I'll go ahead and end here. I hope that this helps both parents and students. It's definitely helped me to play around with it more from the student perspective. If you have any particular questions about something that your child is seeing on their screen, maybe there's an assignment that you think is done and it's not going away yet, just let me know. Contact me on Seesaw or send me a quick email. I am happy to answer those specific questions, but moving forward, this is what our Spelling City will be like. And again, I can't reiterate this enough. Just check on the grid for which assignments the students should be working on for that day. I promise I will always post which 2 assignments, so always check the grid before checking into Spelling City. I hope that this was helpful, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon.